Good morning, Grizzlies. I'm Camden.
I'm Chaos.
On September 4th, 2024, a 14-year-old student opened fire at the Appalachia High School in Georgia, fatally striking 2 students and 2 teachers, along with injuring at least 9 others. The suspect, immediately surrendering, is currently being charged with murder as an adult. The suspect's father, considered partially responsible for the shooting, is being charged with multiple felony crimes. Our condolences go out to those directly affected, as well as to the many families and individuals mourning those lost and harmed. On the night of September 10th, 2024, former President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris faced off in their first political debate of the election season. After multiple miscommunications and back and forths about the debate and its scheduled date, the two finally came to an agreement and together to advocate for their candidacy. In the long-awaited verbal scuffle, it was a relief to see the two greet each other in such a professional manner, achieving the first presidential handshake in 8 years. This professionalism, however, was short-lived. Throughout the debate, Trump brought up multiple bold claims that were passed off as extreme or simply bogus, the most famous of them being his regarding of the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, quote, "They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. That's a shame." Contrastingly, multiple news outlets flamed Harris for allegedly scripting and over-exaggerating her facial expressions in order to make Trump's claims seem more extreme and bewildering. While neither candidate definitively won, the consensus currently is that Harris has won the debate, according to many online. This election is going to be a very close one. That's all for World. Now over to local.
Shrinking our sights back down to more local news, starting off with some unfortunate news. Over in Multnomah County, a small aircraft crashed into a Fairview townhouse Saturday, August 3rd, taking the lives of 3 people. According to safety investigator Michael Hicks, the twin-engine Cessna 421C was on a maintenance test flight from the nearby Troutdale Airport. 73-year-old pilot Michael C. Busher began having issues controlling the plane, along with 79-year-old flight instructor Jacqueline K. Whitford, resulting in the plane hitting a set of power transmissions lines before crashing into several townhomes in Fairview, killing 75-year-old Barbara J. McDonald, a resident of one of the homes. Many of the nearby homes were damaged by the explosive impact and fire that ensued shortly after the crash, also causing a power outage affecting thousands in the area, displacing 3 families. Fairview Mayor Keith Kunra said the city will continue supporting the people impacted by the crash and rebuilding the community. Moving forward to more temperate news, Thursday, record heat loomed over Portland, reaching 102 degrees, the 3rd time in recorded history for hitting triple digits in September. There's about 2 weeks left of summer, but the wildfire season in Oregon hasn't ended yet. According to the Northwest Interagency Coordination Center, there are about 24 large fires burning throughout Oregon. The fires currently make up about 500,000 acres of active fire, and out of 24 of the fires, 1 was man-made, 10 are under investigation, and the rest were caused by lightning. Luckily, here in McMinnville, conditions should begin to improve throughout the month of September, reaching an average high of about 65 to 76 degrees and an average low of about 49 degrees. Speaking of hot skies, the 2024 Oregon International Air Show was held at McMinnville Municipal Airport from August 31st through September 2nd. Over 80,000 people attended to watch the air show. Thunderbirds flew out of the 142nd Wing of the Portland Air National Guard Base to take part in the show, along with the U.S. Navy Growler Air Show team and the Navy Legacy Flights, honoring naval aviators both past and present, and an exciting array of world-class military and civilian aircraft. Sounds like a lot of people were excited to see these amazing aircraft and their pilots show off their fantastic flying display. Now on to Henry with 2024 Election Corner.
Thanks, Chaos. All right, it's election season here in the U.S. again, which means here at Bear Claw Broadcast we're doing non-stop election coverage until November 5th. You're going to be seeing a lot of me standing in front of this map and poking Minnesota. We love poking Minnesota, don't we, folks? All right, so before we get into some actual coverage, we're going to, cover some terminology, because here in the land of the red, white, and blue, we do things just a little bit differently. So unlike other countries like India, we don't elect presidents by popular vote. As a matter of fact, the popular vote has literally no bearing on who wins the election whatsoever. That's how you have cases like the 2000 election, where despite losing the majority of votes to Al Gore, we ended up with President Bush. Now, you might be asking, how does this system work then? Well, the answer is something called the Electoral College. Essentially, each state gets a number of votes depending on their population. So this can range from Vermont's 3 electors to California's 54 electors. This totals to a number 538. So when a candidate carries a state or wins the popular vote in a state, their electors go to that state. So for example, let's say California votes for Kamala Harris. This is a very likely outcome. That means California's 54 electors go to Harris. So a candidate must carry a certain amount of states, which gets them to 270, in order to win an election. Now, you might be eyeing up these big states like Texas or Florida with their big amount of electoral votes. However, those states have not changed the way they vote in elections for quite some time, making them something called safe states. So a safe state is generally a state which can be relied on to vote for a specific candidate in any given election. California, which you just mentioned, is a safe blue state. Utah is a safe red state, a Republican stronghold. We live in a safe state, actually. Oregon is a safe blue state. So to sort of narrow things down, we're going to fill in our states. So Washington, generally these coastal states. Hawaii, the birthplace of Barack Obama, and then Illinois, and then these 2 states in the Sun Belt region generally always vote Democrat. And then this whole East Coast region over here can pretty reliably always be counted on to vote Democrat, including, what state am I missing? Oh, Minnesota. And then the rest of these states, all of these states here in the middle of the nation, these are all very not populated states, very low populations, with a lot of rural, unoccupied, and farmers and ranchers and stuff. And they will generally vote Republican. So there's South Carolina too. So now you can see sort of, I almost forgot the big ones. Oops. So now you can see sort of how our map is narrowing down. You can see that we have these states right here, which are not really committed safe to any candidate. So that's why you'll see mostly Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will be campaigning in these states. And these states are called swing states. So these states are where you can generally pick up these 96 electors that you're going to need to put you over the top and win the White House. So for this election, our swing states are Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. So this is where the candidates are going to be spending most of their money, most of their time, and they're going to be holding a lot of rallies. So if you're wondering why a candidate isn't visiting our state, that's why. We're probably going to vote for Kamala Harris no matter how many times she visits, and no matter how many times Donald Trump visits too. So yeah, they're going to spend most of their money in these states. So these are the states we're going to be closely watching this election. Yeah. All right. So now that we're all up to date on our terminology, we'll start coverage next week. But until then, that's all we have from the Decision Corner. Over to entertainment.
Thank you, Henry. Today we start our entertainment segment with the Minecraft movie. The movie is set to release in April of next year. The movie is based off the very blocky game, Minecraft. This game is very popular among Gen Z, and everyone was super excited until the trailer was released. When the trailer came out, most fans had mixed feelings about it, and most were very disappointed. The cast consists of big names like Jason Momoa as his own character and Jack Black as Steve. Moving on in our segment, the biggest summer blockbuster, Deadpool and Wolverine, is now the highest-grossing R-rated movie. The movie made $1,287,042,689 at the box office worldwide. Safe to say, everyone was excited for the 3rd installment of the Deadpool series, and it did not disappoint. Lastly, our very own Grizzlies are already starting to work on the first play of the school year. The play is called Bye Bye Birdie. The cast is already out, and rehearsals are underway. Opening night is set to be November 15th. That's all for entertainment. Now back to the desk.
Thank you, Caleb. So what did you think of the new Minecraft movie trailer? Me personally, I thought it was a little hard to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think they did a really odd take on the Minecraft. Just like the look and the designs, especially the sheep, they look really, really goofy. It's like they took Minecraft and tried to make it really realistic, while also it just doesn't look quite right to me.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess it was worth the effort, but hopefully this is another Sonic the Hedgehog situation where they change it for the better.
Oh, definitely. I'll be excited to see if they decide to change the designs for some of the characters.
Absolutely.
Now we go over to a special edition interview with Rylan.
Thanks, Camden. So today I wanted to bring along Frau Walker, the German teacher, as well, just to answer some questions about the GAP program. As it had just ended, we came back in July, and I just wanted to answer some questions about it and spread the word.
Okay, so what is GAP for those who don't know?
Yeah, GAP stands for the German American Partnership Program. And it was a joint venture between our two governments to foster more cooperation between the countries by starting at a lower level in high school and getting people to get to know each other. So that way we would break down those barriers, because this started in the 70s.
Oh, really?
When the Cold War was still going on. So GAP was huge, and it's still going on today. We have a lot more people going on the East Coast, because German is more of a bigger language on the East Coast than it is on the West Coast. But GAP was started here at that same time from Monika Lautenbach, and then after Monika was Burkhard Gebauer, who was my teacher when I graduated from high school here. And I loved it, and so I knew I wanted to come back and do it.
Yeah, so why'd you decide to take over the GAP program?
So like I was saying, it's so good for kids to get to know other cultures. And that like aha moment when kids get off the plane and they're like, oh my God, or like, I'm gonna throw Rylan under the bus. One of my most favorite moments in GAP was when we were just taking a tour of the city and Rylan turns the corner and he sees his first cathedral ever. And
Yeah,
he just
he sent me
stood
videos of
there.
that.
Yeah, and he was like, he wasn't crying, he's not a baby or anything, but I mean, like, he was emotionally moved. And I didn't look at what he was looking at. I could only look at him, because it warmed my heart to see him have that, like, I don't know, Santa Claus moment where it's like, oh my God. And then I was like, buddy, this isn't even the biggest one I'm taking you to. So yeah, I love that. That's why I knew it was so important for me to bring it back.
Yeah.
It was that cathedral moment. It was such a beautiful and crazy thing I'd never seen, especially with how old it was. And just witnessing that and being in the presence of it, it brings you to emotions and
Yes.
tears.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. That
Yeah.
means you're human, and to have the kids experience what it's like to be human in a different country with other humans
Yeah.
was also such a great learning experience, because they didn't just get to meet German people, they got to meet Turkish people. Your exchange partner was from a Turkish family. There was a family who was involved that was from Hungary. So all different kinds of people mesh and mix in Germany, and it's great for the kids.
Yeah, super special.
Yeah.
So what goes into running the GAP program?
Oh boy. Yeah, so every other year I basically become a mini travel agent for a very special group of children. And so I do everything from the proposal to the school district to like arguing with the plane industry as to who's going to get us there the cheapest. To like the travel insurance. What I do with the kids first is I say, hey, where do you want to go? I give them a little presentation, say, these are the different places that we can go. What do you want to do? Let's vote. And then when the kids tell me where they want to go, I make plans and tours in that city. And to save money, I'm not only the travel agent, but when we get there, I'm also the guide. So I have to do the research on all of those places, which by now I'm basically have everything up here.
Memorized.
Yeah. But I mean, like, they wanted me to do a tour of Frankfurt, and I thought that was great. My family usually did that, and my uncle passed away, so now I had to do all the research for Frankfurt and take them on a tour and everything. And I learned a lot of stuff too, but like it's extremely involved. That's why I only do it every other year, because it takes a lot of family time away from me. But in the end, it's a huge bucket filler to see the looks in their eyes and see how much fuller they come back.
Yeah.
So
What do you think is the most important part of GAP, or just why do you think GAP is so important?
I think when the kids come back, and I don't know if I can speak for you, but I've had so many students come back, and you can see that they've completely changed. And it's not like they did a 180, but like they're so much more introspective about who they are and how they fit in the world. And I know that people have probably heard of like the astronaut moment, when you're an astronaut and you go up and you see the world's this big.
Yeah.
You know, and I made their world a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
And now they know I can do tough things, And like Rylan came in to me the other day after school, and he was like, now the language is so much easier to learn because, you know, he's intrinsically motivated now. He doesn't have to have a reason why he comes to class. He knows why he's coming to class because he's going to go back to Germany, darn it, you know? Yeah. So that's why I think it's so important. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think that Germany, like going to that and just being a part of that program, being able to go to the school and meet the other people, live with the families, you're right, it completely changes you. It gives you a whole new perspective. And I remember it wasn't even very far into the trip, I had messaged Frau and I was just like, thank you, I already have such a new perspective, and it was just, I wish it's something that everyone could experience. And I advise so many people to go on an experience like that. Because it really does just, it gives you a whole new perspectives, and it just changes the way you look at everything. And like it helps with language, and the food is spectacular.
Right. My son came with because he wasn't quite in McMinnville High School yet, and so he was able to meet a lot of my family for the first time, and he's like, dude, anywhere I go, man, the food. And I'm like, yeah. Ethan, eat it. Yeah. It's so awesome. The food's great. And the food is not just German, it's Turkish, it's Italian, it's all the different kinds of things. And so it's, even though I only took them to Germany and France, I mean, they got to experience so many more things than that. So
Absolutely.
It's wonderful.
And for anyone who is curious, Döner Pizza is
Döner Pizza.
spectacular.
Döner! Yeah. And for those of you who don't know and they want to try like a döner is like a gyro, only it's the Turkish version. And the spices are similar, but there's nothing that beats a döner, man.
Oh,
so
it's
good.
amazing.
Especially in Berlin.
So for any freshmen or anyone else who just wants to get involved in GAP, how are they able to do so?
Awesome, yeah. So I would love to have anybody and everybody apply for GAP, but there's one big gate to cross, and that is they have to be in German class. Because I need to get to know them. I always tell the kids that I'm putting my job on the line to take 19 people over to Germany. So I start the interview process the minute my freshmen walk in the door, get to know them, build that relationship. But anybody in my classes can go. It does cost the families because I don't have time to fundraise for everybody and travel, be travel agent and teach and be a a family person.
At once.
Right, but and so the next trip will be $4,000. But there's a lot of scholarships out there for people who would like to engage that might not have that option, and there's 2 years. So you can save up that money in that time. But the other thing is you really have to be a person who wants to learn new things. And you have to be able to like speak to people who you don't know at all. And I know that people always fight anxiety in class. So I mean, like if you're the kind of person who's like, I want to talk to that person across the room, even though they've never smiled at me, I'm just going to take a chance. And I don't know, I feel like you guys found that when you took chances, you got majorly rewarded with great things.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Is it worth the anxiety fight? I think it is. Yeah.
I would say for anyone that is wanting to become a part of it and go into it, it's a difficult process. There is stress that goes into it.
Sure.
And it's a lot of work. It's not an easy just like, sign up and go.
It's not a European
It's-
vacation.
And that's a big thing that we were reminded. It wasn't a vacation. It was a learning opportunity. And you have to have that strive to learn and to work to go there and be a part of it. But it's so worth it. It is, through all the stress, through all the anxiety and the work that goes into it. It was just more of an outcome than I could have ever dreamed of having.
And more specifically, to be very clear, this coming spring break, so next March, there will be a week before that. It's the Monday before the spring break that happens. I will be having an informational meeting in my room, B132, where I will be handing out those applications to all people who are interested. The only problem is you can't be on the GAP trip if you're 18, because then you could be drinking. Difference in culture. So people who are 18 when we travel aren't allowed to go, but on the other side, the Germans who come here, they have so many people who want to go because we are their only exchange trip. They've got a school of like 500. So they want to always come here. They have more applicants than we can handle. So I'm going to open it up to anybody who would like to host one of our Germans, even if they're not in our German class. So yeah.
That is also a great opportunity.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Before we wrap up, or do you have any closing statements you'd like to make?
My gappers who just went, just a personal shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. Miss you so much. And I'm making the yearbooks, man. So watch for those yearbooks to come out. And thank you to the school district for allowing us to go, and all of the teachers who worked so hard for all of you guys, because we had to leave school a week early.
Yeah.
So thank you to you as well. Yeah, we all really appreciate you guys. So thank you.
I think I can speak for all of not only the GAP students, but like all the German students when I say just thank you, Frau. You have put in so much work into this trip, this school, and making your classes just such a wonderful environment. I know that my high school experience would have been a totally different time without you, and I just from the bottom of my heart, I think so many people in the school and in Germany can say thank you for all the work you've done.
Vielen Dank.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for the interview, and back to the desk.
Well, that's all for our interview, and that's all for our show. I've been Camden.
I've been Chaos.
Thank you for watching.